Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us outside. I'm from northern Minnesota. We call today first day of summer where I come from. But I appreciate you coming out on this chilly but clear and non-rainy day. I'm Fernando Delgado. I have the distinct pleasure of being the president of Lehman College. And I'm so thankful I am joined by our colleagues from across the system, particularly our chancellor and many members of the chancery who've come from Manhattan. I want to say thank you to the members of the community, our supporters, the elected officials, members of our foundation board, a few retired faculty and staff, and I even see a few students out there. And for you students, that's your building. I'm not going to do a full-on speech today. I'm just going to serve as the MC and the host here. So my first responsibility is to introduce the Honorable Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, who we've decided we're not related, but we are friends. And we're so grateful the Lieutenant Governor has decided to join us today. Lieutenant Governor Delgado.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate your leadership, President. I certainly also want to acknowledge Chancellor Rodriguez. Thank you for your leadership. To the Borough President, Vanessa Gibson, always good to see you. To all of my colleagues in government, to the faculty and the staff and the students at Lehman College. It's a good day. It is a good day. I am very honored to join you all today as we unveil the state-of-the-art nursing training center. I want to thank everybody who has dedicated your time and your energy into today. There were a lot of days that preceded today. There were a lot of weeks and months and years that preceded today. And we're all here today. But there were some that were here on those other days before we got to today. And it's important that we lift them up and thank them and express our gratitude. It means a lot to be able to stand here and be a part of this moment with all of you. We know the impact of this facility and what it will do for our nursing program and its capacity, allowing the school to train more nursing students during a time where we know the need is highest. And we are facing a nursing shortage here in New York in the midst of a growing need. And that shortage is greatest in those communities that have historically been underserved and underinvested in. But we are changing the status quo today. This $95 million investment will making the nursing profession more accessible and creating a crucial pipeline of nurse practitioners into a community that has been far too often overlooked. This is how we support our healthcare system for generations to come and ensure our nursing staff reflects the diversity of our state. We are proud that nearly half of new nurses entering the workforce in New York City each year are CUNY graduates. And of those graduates, 70% come from historically underserved communities. That means that we are not only building a more inclusive healthcare system, but we are also ensuring our healthcare workers can better relate to the communities they serve. This facility will also put Lehman students at the head of the class in terms of preparation for jobs in healthcare. This is certainly a priority for our administration. Governor Hochul and I are committed to building a more equitable state whether that's investing in public higher education, expanding access to training opportunities, or prioritizing diversity and inclusion in every space, particularly in the healthcare field. Together, we can break down barriers and move our state forward. And again, I want to thank you all. I don't know about you, but I feel the love in the air. And it's important in moments like this that we lift up the culture of care, not just the culture of commerce or the culture of material or the culture of consumption, which far too often tends to define our interactions. The culture of care is the most meaningful of cultures. And the folks on the front lines doing this work, who are dedicating their lives and doing so grounded in compassion and in love, are undoubtedly our heroes. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for what this building represents and what it symbolizes, which ultimately is intangible and invaluable, and that is tied to our shared humanity. God bless.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. As I make this transition, I want to thank a few people. So, I love that train. It works so well during commencement, too. I would like to thank a few folks: Vice Chancellor Batista, former Interim President Lemons, current Interim President Santiago, and our Vice President Rotolo. These names are important because they were there at the beginning and even a little past the middle part to make sure this got built. And I recall getting a tour here in April of 2021 with Vice President Lemons and President Lemons and Vice President Rotolo, who I think had just gotten off the phone with Vice Chancellor Batista, and they were talking about a glitch in the funding. Glitches in New York apparently run in the tens of millions of dollars. So, you know, coming from Minnesota, it felt like a breathtaking glitch. But by the time we sort of made our way around in the golf cart, Renee said, no, we got this solved. And Interim President Lemon said, it'll be taken care of before you start. They were right. The other person I need to thank is the person I'm going to introduce to you next. Because he helped steward this process through. And most importantly to me, offered me the job here at Lehman. So I owe him a huge debt of gratitude. Most folks know him as Chancellor Felix Matos Rodriguez. A lot of us call him fellow. I always call him jefe. But jefe con un corazón. He's a good man who works hard for every part of our system, and he's inspirational to a lot of us who entered graduate school not thinking we had a secure place to be a professor as a Latino or as a person of color, but to come be a president of a system headed by somebody who has an accent that sounds very familiar to me and my family is inspirational. And his leadership, quiet and otherwise, continues to help steward us forward and reify why CUNY is so invaluable to not only the 5 boroughs, but to all of the state of New York. It is my pleasure to introduce Chancellor Felix Matos Rodriguez. My pleasure.
Gracias. Gracias, Fernando. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. How are you all doing? Doing good. I am not from Minnesota. And my profound Puerto Rican bones need all the layers they can take to be here. And I know it's part of a strategy to make me speak briefly. All right? Good move. Good move. We appreciate that. I also want to join. I'm so delighted to be here. Any opportunity to be in the Bronx, any opportunity to be in this beautiful Lehman campus, in this such warm community that you've built here at Lehman, brings joy to me and to my calendar and to the schedule. To be able to see such an important project, and a project that has taken probably longer than it should have been, right? But people kept at it and kept at it. I have no doubt that one of the most shyest faculty members ever in the history of Lehman College. Good old Professor George will say a thing or two about those delays, right? And but again, one of the things that we're fortunate is that when you are in the roles that we have, is that you're part of a relay in which your role is to make sure that when your turn comes, that you move forward and you create a space that is in better shape than when you took it. And to be able to do this work, President Delgado made a reference to it. Our beloved Lieutenant Governor, also Delgado, very convenient for the notes, I made a reference to it. A lot of people have been part of that relay, and we're the blessed ones that we're here to cut that ribbon. And you mentioned former President Dan Lemons, now Bronx Community College interim president Santiago, who was part of all the lobbying that we all do to all the great elected officials that we're so fortunate have supported Lehman and CUNY now and throughout the years. It is a joy to be here and to be thinking also of the relay of the generations of students, nurses, and other students in allied health who will be coming here, transforming their life, serving their community, improving their families, and who knows, maybe taking care of one of us at some point in the near future. I want to thank the elected officials because they help us advance these projects. And we have Delgado and Dinowitz, right? It sounds like a couple of competing law firms here but our assemblyman is legendary, proud Lehman alum, and so he knows that he has Lehman and CUNY DNA, and a passionate advocate for education up in Albany in the assembly. And the council member who chairs the higher ed committee, a former teacher, and also a CUNY grad, two really champions that help Lehman, help CUNY, and help all of us with their support in their public service. And you can give them a round of applause. You can give them some love, yes. Our borough president, another CUNY alum, and a long time in the many different roles, in the assembly, in the council, the borough president's office, always supporting the work that we do at CUNY. So thank you, Borough President Gibson, for allowing me to enter the borough, right? And for all your great support in doing that. We also have two dear friends, in Assemblywoman Yudelka Tapia, who's there, and she was bragging about how she's a proud CUNY alum and a CUNY mom. And bragging about that, and Assemblyman George Alvarez also, thank you for being with us. I also want to acknowledge some of the members of the central office who are here because we all work together. They make me look good, and they work on behalf of the campuses to make sure that projects big and small get done. Mention our COO, Hector Batista, who's here. Give him some love. The Vice Chancellor for Facilities, Mohamed Atala, everything that has to do with construction. Our Senior Vice Chancellor for External Affairs, Glenda Grace, is also with us, right? And I want to acknowledge one of the great unsung heroes at the central office, the Dean of everything nursing and allied health and STEM, the person that people in Albany, in the professions, from the central office, we all call when we need ideas, when we have projects, and someone who's a really phenomenal visionary in helping us at CUNY to think about how we're going to be the best partner to New York City and New York State in meeting the needs of our allied health and nursing. Our Dean of Nursing and STEM, Patty Boyce, were you there, Patty? Yes? Give Patty a big round of applause. The Lieutenant Governor mentioned that at the City University, we're really proud that half of the nurses that go into the hospitals and to the clinics in New York each year come from our schools. the phenomenal state-of-the-art facility that we have here would allow Lehman to increase the capacity. Right at a time when we have a shortage of nurses, Lehman is coming to the rescue with an excellent, excellent program to be able to graduate incredibly trained nurses, but incredibly diverse nurses, right? And I want to accentuate that because it's diverse is an important term, but let's break it down. Right? Your mom is in a hospital bed. I know my mom loves it when the nurse she has can speak Spanish. Right? I know that all of you, when you have a loved one in the hospital, you want someone that understands the culture of the food that you eat or your relatives eat, and why the food they're offering you stinks, right? Because the home cooking is far more better. We have an acute shortage all over New York City and New York State of health professionals that look like most of the New Yorkers that we are and understand our communities, our cultural differences, and that is indispensable to be able to provide healthcare. Healthcare, obviously, you need to be trained, you need to be excellent, we need to have state-of-the-art equipment, but you have to care, and you have to understand, and you have to build trust, right? And when you have people that look like you, who understand where you're coming from, the capacity to build trust increases. So that's why I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do here at Lehman and all throughout the system in CUNY. I'm also proud that this is state of the art. It has 22 robotic stations to simulate every possible thing that a nurse can face. They actually told me that they took my hologram, and there is a robot that looks like me that faints when they bring the needle, right? It is called El Wimpo robot, and it's modeled after me because I am painfully afraid. I pick my doctors on the capacity for them to have a nurse that can draw blood, and I don't feel it, right? And but again, we have learned how important simulation is in the training of professionals, right? What more we can do, and this facility would give Lehman the very best, which our students deserve, which our faculty deserve, to be able to advance the work. So we want to do more. One of the things that I'm very proud of is that in the goals that we set up as a system, we also set up a goal, and it's under the leadership, again, of our CEO, Batista, and Mohamed Atala, to be able to work on projects like this a lot faster, right? So that we can build faster, so that we can have facilities done faster and in better upkeep. And that's a commitment that we have to all of you on the system, to the elected officials to help us raise the funds to do this, because we want everybody to have the best facilities possible here, and we need it here, particularly in the area of healthcare. So delighted to be here. And again, my kudos to President Delgado, to the entire team here for the work that we're doing. We are also in budget season, so make sure that any elected official you see here today, you tell them how important it is to support CUNY, right? As we go into the budget, do not lose an opportunity to lobby on behalf of our great university. It is a pleasure and an honor to be your chancellor. Welcome, Assemblywoman Karina Reyes. Good to see you. I saw you yesterday in Albany, right? And but again, thank you for what you do. Have a great spring semester, and I look forward to being here where it's a little bit warmer and we can all party longer. Thank you so much.
Warmer, you don't want to get too hot. Before I introduce our next speaker, I want to sort of divulge something about why I love this building. So most people don't know this, but my partner now is a nurse. My sister-in-law is a nurse. My brother is flawed, he's a doctor. You know. It's horrible penmanship. And most close to my heart, I guess, my mother was a nurse. So when I came to a school with our wonderful Dean Harrison, and she was telling me what we did in human services and health services and nursing, and then I knew we had a nursing building going up. I'm like, my mom would be so proud of me. My dad still wanted me to be a lawyer. So let's get back to our law firm of Delgado, and Dinowitz. It's my pleasure to introduce one of our extraordinary alums, of which there are many. But this one is near and dear to me because even on cold days like this, we have alums and especially elected officials in the Bronx who pull together, who support Lehman, and even on a cold day bring you warmth. He's always been there. He's a good listener. He's a great communicator. You know where you stand, you know what's expected, and you know he cares. So it's my distinct honor to introduce the Honorable Assembly Member, Jeffrey Dinowitz.
Thank you. There's a budget? What? What? Nobody told us. It is so great to be here. You know, many years ago, I guess I'm dating myself, we used to play ball on what is now Carmen Hall, and then they built Carmen Hall. Now, I'm not going to tell you how many years ago Carmen Hall was built, but it was a while back. I lived for many years a block away from here. In fact, it's a block away from here is in my district. When it came time to go to college, we didn't really have a whole lot of money. We didn't have a, as they would say, a pot to pee in. So I looked at CUNY, and you know what? It was the greatest thing that ever happened, the fact that I went to CUNY and that I went to Lehman College, because I don't believe I would be where I am today but for the incredible education I got here at Lehman College. And I spent from age 16 to 20, every day I would roll out of bed 5 minutes before class, because I was right here. And it was great. And you know what? It's been an amazing institution all these years. I think when I went to Lehman, it was one of the earlier years that it was Lehman, because before that it was Hunter College in the Bronx. But we don't have to be an appendage of some Manhattan thing. We're the Bronx. And so I've always felt that it's so important to make sure everybody has the opportunities that I had. And while we don't have free tuition anymore, I hope that most people are able to go here with all the other things that we do to make it affordable. Thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people got their education here at this great institution. And you know, the Bronx, our Bronx delegation is strongly supportive of CUNY and of Lehman. And I see three of my colleagues here, three great assembly members from the Bronx who are here today, Assembly Member Udelka Tapia, George Alvarez, and Carinas Reyes. And they fight, like we all fight, to make sure that City University, and especially Lehman and the Bronx colleges, get what it needs, because they're here to provide opportunities for people. And this particular building is especially meaningful. And you know, I've seen a lot of buildings rise here over the years. We didn't have a lot of these buildings back in the day. But each and every time a new building, a science building, a nursing building comes up, it means that more and more people have opportunity to do good, to get great jobs, to pay taxes, and to just do what needs to be done. And I could tell you that if I had a lot of money back then, I don't think I would have made any decision other than what I already made, which is to be here. I am so grateful for having had the opportunity to have gone to and graduated from Lehman, and I guess it's probably tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who've had those opportunities. And I think that we as elected officials, if nothing else, we have to make sure that young people get great education from pre-K all the way up to college. And that's what we're doing here. So I just want to say to the Chancellor, to President, and our other elected officials, our Borough President Gibson, our Council Member Eric Dinowitz. I also see Ms. George is here, and of course our Lieutenant Governor. You know, thank you all for the support that you give to this institution, to Lehman College, and this is going to mean that a lot of people are going to do great things for many years to come. So thank you to everybody who made this happen.
If you listen very carefully, you can learn something about physics and the Doppler effect as the train comes and goes. I'm just saying. So before I introduce our next distinguished guest, I would like to say I'm so thrilled to hear the Chancellor excited about building and to hear Assemblyman Dinowitz echo that, since we have other elected officials. Before you go, happy to talk to you about the second phase of the science building. Happy to talk to you about that. Chemistry department, stop him. About the time I started, one of the first events we had here semi-post-COVID was an inauguration. Actually, we had several inaugurations that involved the Dinowitzes, but there was one in particular I remember, and that involved our borough president. And that was the first time I got to meet Vanessa Gibson. And, you know, we did the whole thing with the elected official on her big day and the new clumsy president trying to introduce himself. And in the 2+ years since then, I've come to appreciate her passion for the Bronx, her vision for the Bronx, her support for our institutions, her willingness to challenge the institutions in the Bronx to do good by the people of the Bronx and to do better for the people of the Bronx. And I hope as she continues her political career and her time, however long that is, in the borough president's office, that our borough president, Vanessa Gibson, never lose that passion and never lose that unstinting voice that challenges us all to make the Bronx an ever better place. Borough President Vanessa Gibson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's cold, but what a beautiful day that we are truly blessed with to be here at Lehman College for the official ribbon cutting of the Nursing Education, Research, and Practice Center. An official welcome on behalf of my team at Borough Hall. I am so excited to be here today with all of you, my colleagues in government. Let me recognize our Lieutenant Governor, Antonio Delgado. Thank you to our distinguished president here, President Fernando Delgado, no relation, as well as our CUNY Chancellor. Thank you to Dr. Felix Matos Rodriguez and the entire CUNY team, and to all of my colleagues. Thank you to our assembly members, to Jeffrey Dinowitz, to George Alvarez, to Yudelka Tapia, our registered nurse, Karinez Reyes, as well as Councilmember Eric Dinowitz and Gina Williams here on behalf of Public Advocate Jamani Williams, and really each and every one of you, to our distinguished faculty, staff, the students, Student Government Association, alumni. Everyone has been recognized. We are all VIPs. But ladies and gentlemen, today represents a culmination of the commitment, the consistency, the compassion, the dedication, the labor of love of so many to see this day. This day is long overdue, and it truly has been a labor of love to see this exciting project right here on the campus of Lehman. Our first CUNY college here in the borough, and our senior college right here with one of the most amazing nursing programs across this city. I am so proud of the incredible work that has been done to bring us to this day. Thank you to the Department of Nursing, to our professor and chairperson, Dr. Catherine George. I want to say thank you to everyone for your incredible partnership in bringing this project to fruition. I am so proud to recognize Lehman and all of the leaders, the alumni who have graduated from this distinguished CUNY institution. I want to recognize a very special healthcare shero in Sandra Lindsay, who is a good friend of mine, who is a healthcare shero, who has been a leading advocate for healthcare equity here at CUNY and across the nation. She was the first American to receive the COVID-19 vaccine outside of clinical trials and was recently awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is our nation's highest civilian honor. We applaud her courage, her dedication to public service, and truly making sure that she is a voice for nurses across the country. We know that the shortage of nurses has been a long-standing issue. And during the COVID pandemic, we clapped for our nurses because we recognize the value of what our nurses do each and every day. And we celebrate them. But we also know we have to make sure that we pay our nurses what they deserve. And we make sure that they are respected and working in dignified spaces that allow them to do their work and realize that they are the greatest potential with so much promise. They're often overworked and underpaid and overwhelmed. And I am so proud of how far we have come on the fight for nurses, making sure that we recruit nurses, we diversify our nurses, and we make sure that they are truly reflective of the Bronx and the city of New York. The Department of Nursing here at Lehman has immensely grown to support the interests of all of our future nursing students. With this new building, scholars will have the opportunity to pursue their passion for healthcare, for being public servants, serving our residents when they may be at their lowest moments, having access to an incredible comprehensive space that has research labs, computer labs, medical wards, simulators, and high-flex classrooms, the very best for our nursing students. Lehman has a rich and long history in our borough, dedicated to our students and faculty, as well as the larger community. Our office is proud to support Lehman in expanding their footprint in our borough with nursing education programs and resources. And my final message is one of encouragement for our future students. When I see this building, I see a beacon of hope and a beacon of opportunity. I see new chapters of leaders that are emerging right here at Lehman College. I see the future for our borough is truly bright because we have dedicated faculty that are investing in our students. So congratulations to the entire Lehman College family for what you have done to further invest in our great borough. We look forward to the graduations of all of our nursing students so they can go out and showcase their talents to the world, starting right here in the Boogie Down Bronx. Congratulations, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today.
Next up, it's my pleasure to introduce Councilmember Eric Dinowitz. But before Eric comes up here, he did something early on in my tenure here that freaked me out. And the only other person that has freaked me out similarly was actually Chuck Schumer. And they did the very same thing. They called me on my cell phone 8 o'clock at night. I was cleaning up the kitchen after dinner. And I spoke to him for 10 minutes or so. And the only thing that kept going through my head is, how the hell did he get my phone number? Because I hadn't formally met him yet, I don't think. We'd done one Zoom call. But that call that he made that night was very instructive. There was a problem in his district. It implicated in some ways our campus. And he was most interested in not who was right or wrong. Can we solve this in the way that benefits the most amount of people? What's your idea about this, Mr. President? And I will forever be grateful for that tone and that opening. Because I come from places where when you work with elected officials, if there's a problem, they don't often take that tone with you. And then I recalled people saying, well, he was a teacher. And I'm like, nah, that's where that comes from. He's empowering me to find a solution. He's encouraging me to engage. And we found a practical solution. I forged an even better relationship with my partner in that solution. And from that moment forward, had the utmost respect for you, Eric Dinowitz. So let me introduce Honorable Council Member Eric Dinowitz.
Thank you. That's a nice story. I think it's very nice to be compared to Chuck Schumer. Thank you. Thank you. Well, as you heard,
Going to do the speech now?
I'm not. Ben Franklin, we're looking down. That's funny to about 5 of you. Well, I'm Eric Dinowitz from the law firm of Dinowitz and Dinowitz. It's a pleasure to be here. As was mentioned, I'm the council member for this district, and I love representing Lehman College because of what they represent. The last time I was here was about a week ago, and it was in the music building, where at midnight, Tuesday night at midnight, we went out with about 100 other people around this community with the Department of Social Services to do a survey of the neighborhood to count the unhoused individuals living on the street in the Hope Count. The time before that, I was at the orchestra of the Bronx concert. Another time, my office held a health fair here. And if you go through all the things, you realize Lehman College isn't just about the academics, but they are about community and what they can bring and being a partner in our community. And that includes for that problem that we got solved. Is it a secret problem that I can't talk about? High school? No, yeah, I know the problem. I feel like you didn't talk about the problem. That's okay. It was solved. That was it. And that was the community is a value that I was raised with, and as was mentioned, I was a teacher. I was a teacher here in the Bronx. In fact, at the Walton campus, right next door to here, is one of the schools I taught in, and that value of community that Lehman so proudly believes in, that I was raised with, is a value that I try to impart on my students, and I would try to give them the skills and the values to say, how can you make your life better for yourself, for your family, and for your community here in the Bronx? And a question I would often ask myself is, what opportunity is there for our students to better their lives, to better the lives of their family, and to better their community? And I think about that question, and then we look at this building. Because with this building, in part, we answer that question: what opportunities are there for our students? They exist right here. And with this building and with the nursing program and with the education that will provide to our students here in the Bronx, they can have that better future for themselves, for their families, and take the skills that they learn here in our borough, in our public school system, and utilize those skills to better the lives of other people in our community here in the Bronx. And that is why in the City Council, as chair of the Higher Education Committee, as a member of the budget team, we fight so hard for policies and for a budget that reflects those values that we all share, and reflects the value that we need to invest in our CUNY system. You hear me saying it out loud? You want more? More money for CUNY? Más dinero para CUNY. Is CUNY the same in English and Spanish? Okay, good. So I am just so honored to be here, so honored to serve in a council that values our education. So proud to be able to work with colleagues. I see my colleague, Piedina Sanchez, is here as well. And I don't often like to speak for my colleagues, but I know as someone who is raising a small child in the Bronx, in the district, cares deeply about our future as well. And both of us as parents worry about those same things. The opportunities available for our children, for all of our children, and they are right here at Lehman College. So I'm going to speak first. She and I will continue to fight for CUNYs and opportunities for all of our children. Thank you.
Councilmember Sanchez, welcome. Thank you for coming. To all the elected officials, if you run short of money, just know we'll spend it really well here at Lehman, okay? Just saying. The next person I get to introduce, for those of us who have been at Lehman, and many of you have been here far longer than I have, because I've been here 31 months. This person may be the shyest faculty member I have ever encountered on campus. Just incredibly reticent, quiet, placid, docile almost. And yet, at the same time, has managed to forge a career that makes her legendary, both in her school but across the college. I once joked early on in my tenure here that we should build a statue in her honor. And now, 2 years later, I reflect that would be actually silly, because a statue is static and it doesn't move. And if there is anything that defines Dr. Catherine Alicia Georges, it's movement, constant and utter movement. And I will be honest, and she did it in the most gentle and professional way. The first faculty member amongst Lehman's faculty who literally got in my face and said, "Mr. President," and spoke truth to power. And I have respected and cared for her every day. I tried to talk her out of retirement. She said she had more things to do elsewhere. Something about the Virgin Islands. And missed this. But we're grateful she came back to celebrate a building that has been the apple in her eye for a long time. And here it is. And so without further ado, because I don't want her to be too shy. I mean, she's buckling up here. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor Dr. Catherine Alicia Georges.
Lieutenant Governor Delgado, Assembly Member Denowitz, Borough President Gibson, the esteemed Chancellor Matos Rodriguez, Assembly Member Denowitz, who I mentioned, and his son, who I met about a year ago. And Assembly Member Denowitz may have remembered me when I used to be a member of Community Board 12 and chaired that board for a number of years. Other distinguished guests, but most of all, President Fernando Delgado, the president here who let me speak the truth and didn't ask me to leave the room. And other distinguished guests, elected officials, faculty, staff, good afternoon. There's no sun, but there's something that's good for us here today. Today is another milestone in the history of Lehman College and the Department of Nursing. But before I go on, I want to pay tribute to the person who started the nursing program. In 1969, Dr. Claire M. Fagan, a native of the Bronx, started the program here at Lehman College. Dr. Fagan passed away on January 16th this year. I'm here at Lehman College because for 2 years she harassed me to come be a member of the faculty here. And so this year, as we open this nursing education, research, and practice building, will also be the 50th anniversary, folks, of the first graduating class of the Department of Nursing. Another first, and Lehman College Department of Nursing has had many firsts. Dr. Fagan started the Health Professions Institute in 1975 here at Lehman College, the first one Chancellor Matos Rodriguez in the university with Montefiore Medical Center. Dean Harrison, that's where HPI and HIN comes from before the courses are listed. 10 years ago, Fatima Fronteras, who is the assistant to the chair, planned with me the 40th anniversary of the first class. And she got Dr. Fagan and made sure Dr. Fagan got here. And Dr. Fagan was honored and had an opportunity to meet those graduates. Lehman has contributed to the history of nursing and healthcare here in the borough of the Bronx, across this nation, and internationally. Lehman College was the first in the nation to prepare baccalaureate graduates to become clinical specialists and nurse practitioners with their bachelor's degrees. We got one, Carol Beraldi, who now is a member of the faculty at Lehman, who's here. The department, as I said, has graduates throughout New York City, the nation, and globally in leadership positions. We've got one of our outstanding graduates of our master's program, Dr. Sandra Lindsay, who's here today. And you all heard our borough president pay her homage for who she is and what she's done. The Department of Nursing here at Lehman College started the first internationally trained MD to RN program here in this Department of Nursing. We were also the first to prepare internationally trained nurses who were not nurses here yet through the Department of Nursing to take the NCLEX RN and pass. And then we have, our assemblywoman who's trying to make sure that happens again for us. Another registered nurse, Karina Reyes. But we also, Chancellor Matos Rodriguez and President Delgado, Lehman graduated 2 classes of certified registered nurse anesthetists. And then somebody took away our program. We've trained, not you, we've trained over 200 nurses from South Korea who got bachelor's degrees and master's degrees through the Department of Nursing. We played an integral role in the planning and execution of the DNS program that later became the PhD program at the Graduate Center. It's not there anymore. It's now at the other school downtown, Hunter College. Numerous other programs were started and executed by the Department of Nursing before and during my tenure as chairperson. We had our challenges along the way, but came through with the support of the administration here at Lehman. Thank you, thank you, thank you, former President Lemons, and from our community partners and our elected officials. So I want to say to you today, it was a team effort that brought us to this momentous occasion. VP Rotolo, you weathered the ups and downs. Remember when we lost the property down the street and we said, I guess we ain't gonna have no nursing building because we have no place to build it. But that woman, VP Rotolo, persevered. And she and her colleagues found us and found a way for this building to be built here where it is today. We say thank you again. Marcia Brown, who is not here with us today, she's on vacation, and you made other visits all up and down the East Coast to see simulation labs that we could replicate. My colleagues across the country were sick of me asking to see their simulation labs. And then I came back and complained to former President Fernandez, we live in a ghetto, we need to have us some new places to live. We need a new lab. And he heard. Thank you, Milton, for hearing us. Milton Santiago, who was his exec and kept hammering away for us to get the money. Urban architects, I know some of you got gray hair and scratched your head many times as we introduce aspects that were not originally part of your plan. But you heard us, and you made the appropriate changes. Our elected officials supported our quest to get this center for the Bronx. You know, many times I had to go testify, Chancellor, before the Board of Trustees. Sometimes it wasn't too friendly environment, but I always said, we gotta have that building. And I even had, he's not here, Speaker Heasty, who happens to be my assemblyman. That helps, right? I hope so. I hope it helps. But I'm talking to him and saying and begging, imploring for dollars for CUNY so that we could have this building. Fatima Contreras and Judith Dyer from my department made sure we always included in any report we sent to anybody that we had potential for having a new nursing building on this campus. Well, folks, it's a reality today. Thank you, nursing faculty, past and present. Thank you, students and alumni. Thank you to all my colleagues, the department chairs and deans who supported our dream. This center should become a place where students, undergraduate, graduate, DNPs, and nurses will continue to learn and grow. Where our community partners and other health professionals can meet and develop innovative practice models and research that will produce the evidence needed to mitigate the health inequities that currently exist in this borough. We refuse to continue, Borough President Gibson, to remain the worst borough for health indices in this state. This building, the students, present and future, and faculty will do something so that the injustice and lack of quality health care will not occur. I have spent more than half of my life on this campus and as a member of this faculty. I don't know how much longer I got to live, but I always believed in magic, and I believed in dreams. And today, this dream is a reality. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Georges, for joining us and for overcoming your natural shyness to galvanize us around the vision that led us to this moment. I'm going to take a brief detour, still related to the building. And I'm going to ask somebody to come up here. So I'm going to ask Mr. Anton Wolfshorndl, Assistant Director of Department of Design, Construction, and Management for CUNY, to step forward, please. So a lot of buildings on this campus have the shadow of this man's hand and sweat and brains, patience, probably a little bit of blood, because he's been with CUNY more than 20 years. And literally for almost all of that time, he's been assigned to Lehman, first as a project manager and then later as assistant director, where Lehman College remained as part of his portfolio. And there are a lot of people that make a campus what it is over the course of history. And a lot of people are seen, some of us because of our roles, when we leave, they put a picture in the hallway and say, that guy worked here and he didn't screw it up too badly. Professor George liked him, it couldn't be so bad. But there are a lot of other people who don't get that picture in the hallway, who make a difference. Many of you are sitting in this audience, and before you leave your time here, I hope we're able to celebrate you as well. But a sampling of the projects that Anton has worked on here gives, for those of you who've been on this campus the last 20 years, a tremendous sense. He worked on the master plan update in 2010. He helped us with the multimedia center in Carmen Hall. He helped us with science facility, the phase 1 part. Need money for phase 2. He helped us with the child care center facility, the student life building renovation, the central heating and cooling plant upgrade, various lab and teaching lab upgrades in Davis, Gillette, and Carmen Hall, the Performing Arts Center addition, the new bookstore, the Student Health and Wellness Center, the library renovation. We're still not done with that, are we? Almost, though. Almost. You're right. Nursing Education Research and Practice Facility, the premier facility on the East Coast, some of our architects have told me. Campus-wide emergency power system, phase 1. You know, we always take power for granted until it's not there. And then suddenly, you know, it gets a little complicated on a college campus. And hundreds of millions of dollars in building envelope facilities preservation and infrastructure upgrade projects over the 20-plus years. It is fair to say over 2 decades, his fingerprints are symbolically over almost every acre of this campus. Anton has been an outstanding partner to Lehman College, and we thank you in the expansion, growth, and transformation of the college's facilities, and in turn, the maturity of the college. Anton, your contributions are evident across this campus, in our buildings, and certainly in our infrastructure. We are totally grateful for your dedication and partnership and the pride you took in everything you did at Lehman. You will be missed. But before you go, on behalf of the campus, I would like to bestow upon you the President's Medallion. Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to give any remarks? You don't have to.
Just say thank you. It's been an honor to work at Lehman College for the years. The campus is going to remain close to my heart for a long time.
Thank you. And Anton, like all friends of the campus, it's always open. Come on back. Because, you know, some of these people are going to give us that Science Phase 2 building. So we've reached the end of our program. We're going to have some folks come forward here. We've got a ribbon cutting to do. Before we move into that phase, this is a remarkable building. It's going to help us shape the future of what we do here in nursing education, and probably in the extension of what nursing education does in public health. It's going to be a resource not just for our students, but as we've heard, for the community. And it's one more manifestation that Lehman College is an educational institution of, by, and for the Bronx. And we will use this building well to educate and make a positive difference in the Bronx. To everybody who has put energy into making this building a reality, thank you. For all of the faculty and staff from HS2N, would you please stand up if you're here? Thank you as well. Thank you for the contributions and the ideas that went into that building. Thank you for everything you're going to do in that building. And for the rest of the faculty and staff on campus. I mean, we got one built. We'll work on the next one, okay? Thank you, everybody. Thank you, sir.
And we're just going to move. Okay.
Yes, Rachel.
Okay.
I'm sorry, everyone. Hello, everyone. Sorry, just a quick announcement. Can Mary Joseph, Cassandra Dobson, Jasmine, Natasha Nurse Clark, Gwen Lancaster, Sheila Hankin, Darcel Reyes, Marcus, Sandy, Charlene, and Barbara, please head to the registration desk over there. And I'll come back. Yeah? Okay. Great. Thank you.
Are we moving this?
Would it do?
Well, somebody's got it.
William said, "Hey, mira cómo está."